Good morning, everybody, rock stars, superstars, everybody following Move, Think, Smile, and welcome to today's Elite Performance Training episode where we really like to target in on fatigue and really teaching you guys ways to really drastically increase your energy. And today we got a really special episode for you guys, and we're really going to hone in on, how your comfort zone is literally keeping you tired, or how your comfort zone is wearing you down, or how your comfort zone is impacting your health in a really negative way. And today with me, I've got the founder of Move, Think, Smile, the beautiful Elia Fasheron, and I'm the co-founder, Adam Von Inns. And, it's really interesting that we get in there. We just had a training session with some of our clients this morning, and we were talking about anxiety and depression, which is kind of what got us started on this topic for today about the comfort zone. And what's really interesting is when people are dealing with anxiety, anxiety is nothing more than answering a question of, what's happening in my life or what I'm afraid of happening in my life that I do not want in my life. And depression is kind of the exact opposite. It's like, I'm not getting something in my life that I do want, right? So people will kind of like manifest in two different ways. And what's interesting is if somebody has anxiety, they're usually prone to depression. If somebody has depression, they're usually prone to anxiety, but one will override the other. And you can't have both at the same time. And I think that's kind of really interesting there. And so your comfort zone, right? Or as we'd like to call it, your uncomfortable zone. So how comfortable is your comfort zone is kind of what we're diving into this morning and, really trying to figure out here. And
Yeah.
I think that, Elia, you've got some really good stuff here. And let's kind of start with the myths of the thoughts and the mind traps, right? So we know that there's basically 4 things out there that we call mind traps that lead to a comfort zone that ends up not being so comfortable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, again, a good example of this is, a lot of people we talk to are working in certain careers or jobs and they really want to make a shift. They want to make a change, whether that's, a promotion or up level in the company or even starting their own. But these mind traps just keep them stuck, right? And so I would say the 4 most prevalent ones are, of course, I'm not enough, right? Like I'm not skilled enough. I might not be the right person. I don't have this enough. I don't have this look enough. I don't have this, the list goes on and on and on, right? Just a million I'm not enoughs. And the other one is, of course, I'm a failure or I'm going to fail. That thought is really, really pervasive, right? And people have all of these ideas and they drum up all these big fantasies about how, okay, in order to protect myself, I need to visualize or think about all the failures that could happen so I can maybe circumvent them and maybe move around them. But what ends up happening is, again, where our focus goes, our energy goes, and thinking about how it could fail gives you fatigue, right? Really
Right.
makes you feel exhausted and
So-
you're out of your head.
Right. So these it's really important to note here that this isn't just some frou-frou science here. There's actually scientific evidence that shows that when you have these thoughts, you literally are triggering messages of threat
Yeah.
from your brain to your body. Messages of stress, messages of threat. So there's cortisol being released, there's all kinds of chemicals going on, but what's really happening are the mitochondria, the cells, each one of your cells at the cellular level are receiving that there are messages of threat. There's something threatening going on out there. And it's either you're afraid of something is going to happen to you that you don't want, or you're not getting something that you do want, right? They're both threatening because you're not getting it or it might happen. And what that happens is it's called the cell danger response. And what ends up happening is your body or your cells go, oh my gosh, there's danger. We need to shut down power to make sure these invaders, right? These threats don't come and steal our energy. They don't know it's not a bacteria or a virus or a parasite. They just know that the brain is sending messages of threat. And so what ends up happening is your mitochondria literally shut down. They power down and they start operating at lower frequencies, lower efficiency. And then what ends up happening is your genetic weak spot will typically get triggered. So think about it. If you're going, if you've got a car, okay, and it's an 8-cylinder engine, right? And it has all 8 cylinders to produce energy. Let's say one cylinder goes out. The car will still run, but not very well. So what ends up happening is if you've got a car with a good computer, it'll go into limp mode, right? It'll conserve the energy, give you just enough to keep moving forward. So let's say your comfort zone and your genetic weak spot is to have, you're prone to mental stress, right? You're prone to anxiety or depression. And so when your mitochondria shut down, you've only got a little bit of energy in your body. You're not operating at full potential. So your body's got to divert. So it says, okay, I'm going to take the energy that I have, I'm going to put it to the essential systems, and then I'm going to take it back from those non-essential systems and not provide enough energy there. So if you're genetically prone to anxiety or depression, guess what's going to fuel that? It's fatigue. And what's really interesting is, our medical society for a long time thought it was the anxiety or the depression that caused the fatigue, that caused a low energy. And it's actually kind of backwards. So Ellie and I were talking about before this, Ellie, it's like you have that thought, which is one of the mind traps, like I'm not enough, right? Or I'm going to fail, and a couple other ones, not enough time, or what if this doesn't work for me? And that triggers the anxiety or the depression. And what ends up, message of threat go down to the body gets tired, and the tiredness just keeps fueling the fatigue, right?
Yeah. And you can think about it too from this perspective. So that was on a really amazing kind of scientific explanation, but also, consider it from this perspective. When you're visualizing all the things that could go wrong, the failure, right? This could fail. You are literally playing that mind movie in your head. And it's like watching a real scary movie. Your body is going to react. Like when you're watching, we're in Halloween, there's going to be a lot of scary movies, coming up. And it's like, when the protagonist jumps out from behind something and you literally jump out of the couch or out of the chair that you're sitting in, this is what's happening to your body when you're visualizing how things could go wrong in your career and in your life. And again, that just leads to a lot of anxiety. You get that initial crazy boost of adrenaline, but then you have to come down off of that, right? And again, a lot of people actually don't come down. They're just cycling that fear over and over and over again.
So how does this relate to comfort zone and being tired?
Yeah. So really, fear keeps us in our comfort zone, right? So we see those possible fears out there and we say, okay, well, maybe I should just stay where I am. Maybe I should just stay here, right? Because we know what is here and we know kind of how to protect ourselves from the different things that are in our environment because they're well known. So this is where we get in that slippery slope, that conflict. We want to break out of the norm. We want to do something different. We want to take a risk and change our career or start that company. But those mind traps of, well, maybe I'm not good enough to do it, or what if it fails, stops us in our tracks, right? And it's a good protective mechanism because guess what? It worked, right? It stopped us in our tracks. But we've really got to get back to assessing, is this a real danger? Is it a real threat? Is it like the Halloween guy coming around the corner with a knife? Or is it just that it's like, hey, yeah, it's a little bit of a scary hallway, but there's really no monster there, right? I can walk down this hallway. I can make it. So what's so important is to realize that these mind traps, like we said, really keep you stuck because it keeps you in the same place. You don't want to move.
Right.
And go ahead.
And your body becomes basically addicted to those chemicals. So it's always looking to live what it lived yesterday, because that's what it knows. You're basically programming yourself to feel, even though the comfort zone doesn't feel that comfortable, you're feeling tired, you're dealing with either mental issues or other health issues or weight gain or whatever it might be. Your body's literally addicted to what it felt yesterday. So remember, every experience creates an emotion. Every emotion produces a chemical. When you experience that emotion long enough over a period of time, your body becomes accustomed to it and wants to go live that. So what ends up happening is the body starts controlling the mind. Right? It starts controlling your thoughts.
I love Joe Dispenza. One of his quotes that I absolutely love is, you cannot think greater than your emotional state.
Yeah.
So if your emotional state is constantly exhaustion, overwhelm, anxiety, depression, that whole soup mixing around, think about it. You can't think greater than that. Like your thought process and your ability to really problem solve and really take those powerful next steps that you need to make in your career, or if you want to start that business, you cannot have that, in your mindset. You cannot have that just continuing to cycle through, because it really does hold you back. And you can't think greater than that. You don't have access to the most powerful parts of yourself, your greatness, when you're cycling through all that. So Another really good mind trap that can be really convincing because we are all very busy is there's not enough time. I don't have enough time. This one is so pervasive, and I have to catch myself, all the time, making sure that I don't fall into that mind trap, right? Is really realizing that, again, I always have to remind myself, we have 168 hours a week. So a really cool breakdown of that is, okay, so let's say you're working about 56, which is give or take for some people. You're also going to be sleeping about 56, give or take for some people, which leaves us 56 hours for other things.
Yep.
Right? So the important thing is, one, to realize how much time we actually do have, and to really realize that we're choosing busy. It's not that we are busy and we are victimized by our schedules or our calendars or by all the things we have to do. To really take our power back from that mind trap and realizing this is what I'm choosing to do. I'm choosing to be busy. I'm choosing to fill my calendar up with 0 time slots in between, right? I'm choosing to stay in my comfort zone because I'm allowing the fear of failure or the fear of not enough to keep me blocked in to what I think is safe. But then, as Adam, you said, becomes our uncomfort zone because we're just like, I need to get out of here, but I'm too afraid to get out, right? That's where we get stuck.
No, and it's a huge distinction here, guys. The comfort zone is an easy place to get stuck in. And anybody who's really energetic and successful out there and has really optimal health rarely spends any time in their comfort zone. They're always looking for ways to get out of it. And I was just looking at an email that came in, and somebody had watched one of our most popular free trainings, which that link is up in the description. So guys, if you haven't seen the 5 steps to conquer fatigue, optimize your health, and fuel your career or business with energy, click above and go check it out. It's been very, very well received. We spent a lot of time on it, and I think you're going to find some very valuable stuff on it. But I just was literally, Ellie, while you were talking, a couple of emails came in from somebody looking at that training. And you were saying, yeah, it'd be really nice to move forward with this, but money is really tight right now. I'm having a hard time just keeping the lights on. And I'm like, that's exactly why you need this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly why you are, if you're sitting around and you're bored, right? Let's say it's not a money issue, but you're just bored, right? Or maybe you're just tired, right? Or maybe you are poor. Your comfort zone is keeping you in one of those states.
Yeah.
Fatigue is in your comfort zone is keeping you poor. It's keeping you tired, or it's keeping you bored, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why you're just not having the level of power and performance that you want. And so there's at least 3, and we could take it to 5 maybe if we want to, depending on time, of things that you can do, right, to really start igniting your energy, right, to really start getting it back. And if you've been following us for a while now, you know that we believe in the concept of primary fuel versus secondary fuel. And when we asked a question, what do you think primary fuel is? Put it in the box below, put it in the comments below. Everybody will usually answer food, right? Some type of food or some type of supplement or some type of vitamin or some type of stimulant or something like that. Something that you put in your mouth, right? The focus is always on there. And while nutrition is incredibly important, we believe this wholeheartedly, it's actually a secondary fuel. The primary fuel is our 12 areas in your life. And a lot of it has to stem around with your career and your relationships, your movement, and your spirituality. And there's 8 other subsets in there too. But the number one thing that people just do not do when it comes to their energy and actually unleashing and unlocking their potential, right? Igniting elite performance in their life with their career and their business is they don't take action. They don't take action. And if you that's the trick right now, guys. If you want to get out of this comfort zone of feeling tired, feeling like in the next 5 years I'm going to have a heart attack, or I feel like I'm just not going to be able to enjoy the retirement that when I get there because I just don't have the energy and the health that I wanted to at this stage in my life, the first thing you've got to do is take action and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Elia?
Yeah, and that of course is harder, harder done than said, of course, for a lot of people, because again, the mind traps come in, the minefields. It's like, well, what if, or I don't feel like I can take action, or I don't have the money, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. And that's the real slippery slope, because while we have lots of things in our world that we can use as valid, what would appear valid and feel valid to almost anyone as a way to stop you, those actually need to become non-important to the end result of what you want.
Yeah.
Right? To really realize, yeah, that is there, but that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like having four-wheel drive. It's like, well, there's a big, dip in the road with a lot of mud, and it's like, well, I got this four-wheel drive vehicle and I'm committed to going through this, right? So there is a shift that has to happen. And what's fascinating is so many people will say, well, I am committed. I am committed. And if you say, well, you need to be more committed, people get frustrated, right? Because they're like, oh, how much more committed can I be?
Well, no, there's a difference between commitment and wanting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about is just, I want to feel better. I want more energy. I want it really bad. But if you were committed, what's happening is you're committing to your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And when you commit to your comfort zone, you stay stuck there like a four-wheel drive in a giant mud bog, right? Mm-hmm. You're not getting out, not without taking action. And that action is to either get out of the car and take the winch and tie it around the tree, or go find someone to help pull you out, right? Anyways, you're not getting out of there by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You can sit in that car, and then what's going to end up happening? You're going to get hungry. You're going to get tired, right? It's going to get cold. You're going to become scared. Then you're going to become mad. Then you're going to go through depression, and then you're just going to give up, and you're just going to say, this is just the rest of my life, right? I'm going to be stuck here the rest of my life. And all you got to do is you just got to take action, because you're not that giant thing stuck in there, but it kind of feels that way. And what ends up happening is, this is, number two, the second way to really get out of your comfort zone, so you stop, it stops keeping you tired and wearing you down, is you've got to quit resisting. You've got to quit resisting. And what you're doing is you're resisting things outside of you. You're resisting all these things. You're thinking that, you're making it too much about you. You're making it too much about this. And it's really a simple process. It's not easy, because you've got a programmed body. You've got a programmed brain. You've got to break these chemical addictions that are actually going inside of you, right? A supplement is not going to fix you. Some therapy is not going to fix you. We see it time and time again. These people come to us saying, yeah, I've been doing this. And what I think is really crazy, Ellie, is like a lot of people that we talk to are like, yeah, I've got a really great diet. And they do. But they're still wiped out and they're completely tired. That's because they're not working on the primary fuels. They really don't understand what's going on there, and they're resisting.
Yeah. So many of us, when we're exhausted, we immediately go to, okay, what do I need to be eating instead? Right. But for so many people that we talk to, there's really kind of two camps. There is the physical exhaustion, but a lot of people don't realize how mentally exhausted that they are. Right. They're just so mentally and emotionally drained that they can't even think straight. Right. And that's where, again, you were saying, you're resisting what's there. We tend to resist. It's like, well, I'm resisting the fact that I should have this fear, that I have this challenge, or that there's that, that ditch coming up. It shouldn't be there. And you have this whole story about why it shouldn't be there and why you shouldn't have to go through it, and why. And it's like, again, with that resistance, it's really just realizing, yeah, there's the ditch there. Now, how am I going to get through it? Instead of giving myself the whole story about why it shouldn't be there. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes. No, it works. It makes a lot of sense. And it's, if you think about it like a trailer, and I don't know if you guys know this, but if you have a trailer and you don't use it, the tires go to crap really fast. They get brittle, they get dry rot. So you've got to use your trailer. If you're going to have a trailer, you've got to use it, or you're going to be replacing tires like every 9 to 12 months. What happens is, when the wheel starts spinning, the compounds within the tire start actually activating, and I'm not going to go into the details of, but the tires preserves longer. So it's crazy. The more you use the tires, the longer the tires are going to last, where if you just let them sit there. So you got to think about it like the body. You've got to learn how to take action. Quit resisting this giant wall that's in front of you, because this wall has been put there by you. The wall has been put there by you. You've got to remove this wall, stop resisting going over top of it, and start taking action and moving forward. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And then number three, we see this all the time, and nobody wants to admit this, but stop settling for mediocre.
Yeah.
You've got to stop settling for mediocre. Guys, life does not have to be that hard. We've got a society where everything's been put on the success of your career, the success of how much money you're bringing in, the success. You can have your success and you can have your health too. But we've got it ingrained in our heads that it's a catch-22, that in order to have success, I must sacrifice blank, fill in the blank. And it's usually my health, right? Or it's me. I got to sacrifice, or my free time, or something in there. Something I've got to sacrifice in order to have the success. And then in order to get my health and energy back, I must sacrifice my success. This is what the story we tell ourselves. And so these high achieving personalities, they all go for the success, the career, whatever here. And next thing you know, they're in a hospital, or they're in the doctors, or they're dealing with tired, or they've gained a bunch of weight and they're just not feeling it. And they start settling for what I say mediocre. And mediocre is, you can have all the money in the freaking world, but if you don't have the energy to really fully enjoy it, I mean, going to a city and seeing enough operas, I mean, okay, cool. If you're into that, that's fine. But you got to be able to, no one I know doesn't want to be able to explore, to get out and walk around, to really have the energy, where the Machu Picchu and something more extreme like that, or to just go down the street to a state park and really just get outside and do stuff. And a lot of people just don't have the energy to fully enjoy it. I'm not saying they can't get there and walk around, but they know they want to have more. They know they want to climb up to the ridge of the mountain, or they want to take the difficult trail, or they want to do this. They don't want to feel like they're going to strain their legs or pull their back or things like that. And so what they do is they end up settling for mediocre. They get into the comfort zone. It's like, okay, I've got my success here, right? I've got a decent job. I've got this, and this, and I'm sacrificing all this other stuff. And so I'm settling for mediocre.
Yeah. And here's the fascinating thing is, like, if the fear exists, if those mind traps exist of not enough and will I fail and what if it all goes wrong, if you don't know how to navigate those and conquer those, you're going to have that no matter what you do, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got it now in where you are, and you could move forward somehow and make it through without tackling those, and you'll still have it there, right? Which is kind of like where the old saying says, it's like wherever you go, you take you with you.
Right.
Right. And so for a lot of people, sometimes they will use the effort of powering through to take that action to get to the next step. But then they are constantly riddled with that doubt and fatigue, and which creates a lot of fatigue and the fear of failure through their entire journey. And so then they don't even enjoy the success that they have. Right? Or the success that they've created. They can't acknowledge, it's like, wow, they can't even say, look at how far I've come. They're just focused on the next worry. Right.
And so in order to stop settling for mediocre, you've got to commit to victory. Okay. And you've got to commit yourself to, I no longer want to have this in my life anymore. Mm-hmm. I no longer want to be this way. I may not know the path to get there. I may not know the exact strategy, or may not know exactly what to do, but I know I'm making a commitment to no longer do this one thing. It's that commitment to victory, while so many people are committing to an uncomfortable comfort zone. And basically what they're doing is they're committing to external factors, and they're blaming the things outside of them for how they're physically feeling. I can't do this because of my job. I can't do this because of my kids. I got soccer games all this week. I can't do this. It's like, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. And you can actually be the dad you want to, or you can be the mom you want to, and you can be the boss you want to. You can do all of this. It's these stories that we have in our heads that I can't, right? Or I'm not enough, or I don't have the time. So you've got to commit to victory, not being a victim. And then number 5, you got to get honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. You've got to get honest. Where are you right now? Seriously think about that.
Yeah.
Where are you right now in your comfort zone? How comfortable is it? Elio, I mean, what would you say about this, and getting honest with yourself? What was the big aha moment for you?
For me, it was really realizing how much I was sugarcoating everything, right? So there's a level of optimism that serves you, which is really, really key and is super important. But then there's also a level of optimism it's like fake optimism, right? It's like trying to, cover over a stinky smell with perfume, and you just smell the perfume and the stinky smell.
Right.
Like, it's really understanding that, being super honest with yourself and saying, getting to know yourself again, what is it that I really want? And am I really happy? And not being afraid to ask yourselves that question, because a lot of people are really afraid to ask that because they're worried about the answer they might get, right? They're worried about the answer they might get and the actions that they might need to take from that. But here's the thing, the more we worry about asking ourselves those questions, like the bigger the worry gets. And again, a lot of times, it just takes a small shift to get past those. And all of a sudden, a lot of energy starts opening up.
Right. So getting honest with yourself, saying, okay, this is not where I want to be. I know there's some things in my life that I'm doing that I don't want to be doing. I know there's some things in my life that I would prefer doing or I should be doing, and I'm not doing them. And so if you got to look at this as backwards, right? So in order to get honest with yourself, you got to commit to victory. In order to commit to victory, you've got to stop settling for mediocre. In order to stop settling for mediocre, you've got to quit resisting. And in order to quit resisting, you've got to take action. And there are two things that you can do right now to take action. Number one is up in the description, there's a link to our most popular, and it's a free training, the 5 steps to conquer fatigue, optimize your health, and fuel your career or business with energy. Mm-hmm. It's really good, guys. And we're only telling you that because of the response that we've gotten back from people around the world who've been watching it for the past couple of months. They really, really like it. That's number one. You can take action there. The other thing that you can take action on is, if you're ready to really take a jump start and kickstart this, a turbo boost your energy, step back into your power, break free of the comfort zone that's just keeping you in a place of mediocrity and is wiping you out and it's just tearing you down, then we invite you to book a call with us. Come over to movethinksmile.com/talk. Pick a spot on our calendar. You're going to speak to either Ellie or myself, and we're going to take a deep dive into what's triggering low performance, what's triggering your fatigue, what's triggering, maybe it's the anxiety or the pressure, or what's triggering the weight gain, or what's really underneath all that, what's really triggering it, and then help you devise a game plan really so you can drastically increase your energy and hit the goals that you really want to do, whether it be traveling more or maybe it's changing careers. We work with a lot of people who actually want to change their careers or level up in a certain company, and they know they can't do that until they get themselves back into a super energetic, super healthy state. And that's where we come in, because it is really tough to do on your own. We watch people all the time. I tried to do it on my own. I watched Elliot try to do it on her own. I tried to do it for 20 years on my own, and it did not work. And then when we crashed and burned hard, it really blew. And you start looking at your future and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a possibility I don't have any years left. And then let alone even the years I do have, am I going to be in a morbid state, right? Living, my retirement, with my body hurting and not be able to really function properly? Am I going to have dementia or memory loss or stuff in there? It gets scary stuff. Mm-hmm. This is real shit that's going on out there. Yeah. And we're not kidding. Guys, if you don't take action, go watch the free training or book a call with us to talk to us about this, or do something, whatever it is. Get out there and do something, because your body can heal itself. Not only that, your brain can unleash this potential and power you can't even comprehend right now. And you can start bringing these things and doing things in your life that's absolutely amazing. All you've got to do is to take that action. So either go watch the training or book a call with us. I mean, Elliot, do you have anything else to add on to that?
No, I mean, I think the main thing, that was a shift for me too, is really realizing when I reached out for help, it wasn't that I had to get someone else to fix me. It was really more of realizing that person was a guide, a bridge to getting me to my goal, right? That they would be the middleman to get me there. And when I realized that, it was really about learning to trust myself again, and of course bringing people in to help me do that, I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is something that I really need. This is something, I got to go find someone who can help me build that bridge. Right. And so that's important.
All right, guys. So just a quick recap here. All right. Remember, if you want to get out of your comfort zone and you want to start moving forward, I'm going to go backwards again. 5, you got to get honest with yourself. But before you do that, you've got to commit to victory. Before you do that, you've got to stop settling for mediocre. That's a decision. 2, that quit resisting. That's a decision. Number 1, take action. And take action by either clicking the link above and go watching our free training that's been really, really well received and it's gotten a lot of great reviews. Or if you're ready to just jumpstart, turbo start, get that energy back and start really unleashing your performance in your career, really drastically increasing your energy, really, really reversing any of those health issues you may be dealing with, either their mental or their physical, come over to movethinksmile.com/talk. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube or you're listening to this on our podcast, come on over to Facebook and look up Move, Think, Smile. You guys follow us. That means you can get in all the trainings and all the lives. And if you have any questions or you have any comments, put them down in the box or send us a private message. We're happy to help you guys out and support you the best we can. And until then, we'll see you guys next time.